Okay, so today is really should be Daf Nun Beis, but we are way behind. We didn't even do Daf Nun Aleph yet, so and we're still in Daf Nun Amid Beis. We're starting Daf Nun Amid Beis on the top of the Sugya Hakeres Hapnimi. The Mishnah's Mavur that Hakeres Hapnimi is Nikuvase B'Mashu, just a Nekev, and then but the Chitzoina is Betefach. So it's very negay to know what the keres is, right? But Lamaisa, it's Bechlal na Pasha. The Gemara is going to tell us 7 shitas what the keres apnimi is. What's the keres apnimi? 7 different shitas. Yeah? So we're going to go through those 7 shitas, and then we're going to see how we paskin. That's the first of the Gemara. Keres apnimi Rav Rav. Hey, Nosamen Shila Rav Tabchaya Reish Tabchaya the Tzipori. He was the head butcher, the head honcho of Tzipori. Lefnei Rebbe Mishum Rav Nos and Ezi keres apnimi. Sanya Divi. Korcha Sanya Divi. So what does Sanya Divi mean? So Rashi says 2 pshatim in Sanya Divi. Sanya Divi is either, Rashi says it's a part, it's like a dead end in the stomach, and since it's a dead end in the stomach, things get clogged there, and it's so bad that even the ze'ev that eats up every part of the animal, but the ze'ev leaves over. He's Sanya Divi. That's one pshat in Rashi. There are those that want to explain that is like it's the appendix, right? An appendix is a part of the intestines that humans have as well, where it's a dead end. It doesn't continue. Everything else is along. This is a dead end. So that's the Sanya Divi, like the first pshat in Rashi. The second pshat in Rashi says the Sanya Divi, it's part of the big stomach, the big keres, the big first stomach, but in over there. He says there's a place where they cut open, and the really horrible stuff runs out. So that's the lashon of Sanya. Divi is the lashon of dripping out. The Sanya, the really bad stuff, the horrible, is Divi, spills out. That's the 2 pshatim in the 2 pshatim that Rashi says in this pshat of Sanya Divi. Saktik Marvaita, Rabbi Shmuel Oima is tumcha. Is Stumcha de Karsa. What's the Stumcha de Karsa? Rashi himself doesn't know what it is. He says he doesn't know what it is, but he heard that it's the Stumcha Belaz. He doesn't know what it is. So right, Ravasi Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Mokim Tsar Yesh Bekeres. A third shot. There's some kind of some place in the stomach that is very, very tsar, very very small. And maybe a day is out, and I don't know what it is. Amar Nachman by Yitzchak, Nafal Karsa Bebir, so the whole stomach fell into the bar. I mean, if you don't know what it is, so what do you help? Amar Acha, Barav Ava, Amar Asi, Min Ameitza Lamata. From the part of the stomach, right? We'll show a picture soon, but part of the stomach, let's see if we could show real quick. Right, yeah. So here is here, this part here, he said this part is min hametzel lamata. Over here, this part is within. They took off these ribs just to show you what's going on over here. But it's really part of it is in the part of it is in the ribs, right, and part of it is outside the ribs. So the part that's inside the ribs is me'ametza lamata. Why is it called lamata? Because when they're dissecting the animal, they have it on its hind legs. So everything me'ametza lamata. Okay, that's that stomach. Okay. Yeah, good. Weiter. Sagt die Gemara. The stomach, this big stomach, some of it has it's like a fur. It's some kind of a like little tiny little it's like little fingers that move it around. Rashi says, see, we don't eat these things, so we don't know what it is. But Rashi tells us what it is. You know what it is? It's the thing that we go to noisa. You know the stuff that we scrape off before we eat. Before we eat the keres, that's what we're talking about, right? So for some reason, where there's that stuff on it, that's that is not so bad. It's the straight part that's where is the pnimi, right? Mokum she'ein by milas is I would imagine. I mean, it would seem basically, right, that the way the stomach works is that you have the harder matter, like the grass that hasn't yet been broken up, and anything that deals with the harder, bigger, clumpier stuff is not so gefällig if it gets a hole. But the stuff that deals with the watery, broken down, very very liquidy stuff, that's where it's a problem. So these what are they called? It would seem like this milas, the way what it does is it moves around the bigger pieces, but the other parts just slides. It just slides, and that's where it's not such a problem. Zok Gemara. So that was the fourth shot. Rabbi Avina Amar Mishmei Rav Tefach Beveshet. It's not in the stomach at all. It's not in the stomach at all. It's the tefach beveshet, the last part of the veshet, close before the stomach. That's zeu keres hapnimis, and that's going to need what's called. So there's part of it that's very gishmak. So it's just like the rest of the veshet needs a nekev is already a treifa. So here also is a treifa, but it's a chiddush that we had to consider that part of the keres like a new treifa, and it wouldn't be part of the regular veshet. Okay.
I think you're talking about the Gemara says it's woolly papillai.
Tefach beveshet is not part of the stomach at all. Okay.
Like an iron treifa.
It's not part of the right, but it's not part of the stomach. It's not part of the dakim either. It's not part of any of the intestines. Yeah. We'll see. It's going to be negay. Another one. The keres hapnimis is the whole inside stomach, the whole stomach. What's the keres hachitzin? It's b'chlal not the. It's not an inner organ at all. It's the outer thing. There's a Rashi's ma'irich about this a lot because it's negay for the Gemara later on. And Rashi says that there's a special, like a certain reinforced kind of a skin that runs under the stomach that holds up all that weight. Now that's the keres hapnimis. If you have a tefach opened up over there, that's going to be a problem. Or roiv. Now Rashi over there, Rashi is very very makbid to explain that we're not talking about from the whole thing. We're not talking about the whole area, because if we're talking about the whole area, then the next Gemara is not going to make sense, because the next Gemara is going to be mavur, and then a smaller animal. Roiv of the keres is not a tefach, and if you're going the whole stomach, every animal is the roiv. So Rashi explains that when we're talking about basa choifes roiv keres, what we're talking about is only from here. We'll show you a picture. 1 second. It's the basa. It's the basa roiv, right? It's not. It's just this, right? It's just this. In other words, we're not talking about anything. We're not talking about all the way here, and we're not talking about all the way here. We're just talking about this little area. So this area is what we're talking about. It's holding up the weight. But if you were talking about the whole thing, then you would have a problem of, right? So Rashi says it starts over here and it goes all the way down here. But we're not talking about the whole area. Yeah, that's what Rashi is ma'arich to say. Okay. Let's move on. So we already have two pshatim that are not part of the stomach or the intestines. Either the pshat that was the veshet, or the pshat that is the basa choifes roiv keres. Okay. Rabbi Bar Avuna Amar mafrata. What's mafrata? Rabbi Bar Avuna said mafrata. Mafrata is it's the stuff that's what happens. They hang up the animal from its hind legs, and then they slit it in the middle, and the intestines right away comes spilling out. Whatever comes spilling out, that's it. My mafrata, marvia hecha de pari tabchi. So that was the pshat of Rabbi Ravuna, that it's this mafrata, and that's anything that comes spilling out. That's part of that's the keres hapnimis. That's the pnimi. B'nado, avdik Rabbi Ravuna. They did tackle like a Rabbi Avuna's pshat, even though there was a whole bunch of pshatim. We went through 7 pshatim. They did like him. Amalei Rav Ashi Lameima. So Rav Ashi asked Lameima, Kol Hani Shmaitza Mai. What are you going to do to all the other shittas? There's so many other shittas. Amalei Kulu Sheichim with Rabbi Ravuna. All those things, they're all included in the stuff that comes spilling out. If you're makbid on mafrata, you got it all. That's a jack of all trades. That gets it all. So he says, 1 second, how could it be all? Rav Asi Rabbi Yochanan said it's mokim tzar of any idea. So how can you say that this is included? You don't even know what it is. He says, I'm like Kvar Pesha Rav Ravacha bar Ava. Ravacha bar Ava explained that one, and he said it was the part of the stomach that's in the tzalois, and that taka part is included in mafrata. So we're good. We're still good. He says, yeah, but what's Rabbi Avina and Bnei Ma'arava? Rabbi Avina that said that it's the part of the part of the veshet, and the Bnei Ma'arava that said that it's that the whole keres is part of it, and the whole keres is included in it, right? What that not everything spills out. Mafrata chaps arayin all the other four. So mafrata, which is one of the 7 shotim, it chaps arayin 4 of its friends, but it doesn't chap arayin 2. And that's what we that's what they were makbid on in Ardo. Rashi says, however, Rashi chazes this over many times. So Rashi says it over here also that we are makbid on all of them because of treifus. However, Rashi says again that we don't check. Why don't we check? Because we don't have to check. We're saying chazaka. The only thing we're not saying chazaka, Rashi says, is by the lungs because of shchichi. That's what Rashi holds, that it's a miyat hamatzei and that we are makbid on it. That's shitas Rashi. We discussed about it with the lungs. We discussed about the lungs already last time, and we asked our kasha, which I don't have a teretz for. How do we know that the reason why I'll ask it again because I think it's such a gewaldige kasha? How do we know that we're not checking it all out? Just simple economics. Maybe the lungs are being checked, Pasha, simply economics. No one's going to buy if you think that there's going to be a callback, a recall, and it's going to be much cheaper, and maybe that's why they were checking. Okay, so let's move on. So the Mishnah says like this. Rabbi Yehuda said, "Big doila." It's the Mishnah said ubas and it's either the pnimis is hakeres apnimis shenikva or shenikra roiva chitzoina. That was the Mishnah, that the keres apnimis just got a poke, and or it was ripped the roiva of the chitzoina. Rabbi Yehuda argues, and Rabbi Yehuda says hagdoila tefach v'aktana beruba. So the question is, now this is all in the roiva chitzoina, all in the chitzoina. We're not talking about the pnimis. In the chitzoina, what are we talking about? Hagdoila tefach v'aktana beruba. So now the Gemara wants to know.
You can make
I'm going to make it much bigger. Yes. Yeah. So Hagdoila tefach v'aktana beruba. So that's what we're talking about. What does it mean Hagdoila and Ktana? So the Gemara.
Where are you?
We're going there now. So the Gemara. We're not referring to specifically. We're not talking about a big animal or a small animal. We're not talking about big animals or small animals. That's not what we're talking about. And a ruba v'lehavi tefach zui sheshanina b'ktana beruba. So in other words, right? What the Gemara is saying is, bottom line is, what Rabbi Yehuda is introducing over here is he wasn't arguing with the Tanakhama. The Tanakhama said that Roiv is going to be a problem. Roiv is going to be a problem. That remains. What is he coming to say? He's saying that also a tefach apostle. Where is a negay a tefach apostle? Tefach apostle where you don't have Roiv, and an animal an animal that is so large that it could be, even in less than roiv of the stomach you already ripped a tefach. A tefach was a passel. So that's what he means. Yeah, very gishmak.
It won't be possible.
Weiter. So now the Gemara asks a difficult question. The kasha is shver. The Gemara's teretz is very difficult. We'll just say over places, and we're going to move along because we're running so behind. But anyway, frack the Gemara. So Oiba Zoi, Rabbi Yehuda, when he said the Roiv part is Nishki Greisa Chiddush, because we know he's not being Mechadish and he knew halacha by Ketana Beruba. So frankly, more Ruba v'lehavi tefach pshita. Why did he have to repeat the fact that Ruba v'lehavi tefach? We have Ruba kekula in Kalater Kula. Why did he have to introduce? Why did he have to also repeat the Roiv part? Zokti Gemara letzricha dahavi tefach b'mashu. Since if it would be just a little bit more, it would have been a tefach. Ma would the tema ad mikra tefach lehave treifa kamashman. I would think that since it's almost a tefach, it's roiv. Therefore, I would have to wait for a tefach. Why would I think that? Tosfos Butchazach, and Tosfos says that there would be a havamina. That I need a ruba de minkar, and the shadow is why and where do we have that, and are there other places in Kol Torah in Shas that we need ruba de minkar? That's the problem. What would be the havamina over here? That is the shverka in the sugya. We're going to move on. Amagvina Amar Ravasi nikdera kisela, right? And then in other words, like this. Until now, we were talking about a nice rip, a slice. Just a rip. What happens if it got a round hole? Nikdera kisela. If it's the size of a sela, it's treifa. Why? Not because it's a new shear, it's the old shear. She'im timtach, because if you stretch it out, it will tamid al tefach. It will be a tefach. Right? There's a good picture for this, actually. You see that there was a round picture, and what he's showing is that if you'll pull it like this, it'll turn into a tefach. Right? So it's much smaller. It's less than a tefach. But if you're going to pull it like this, it's going to be a tefach. That's the shear of a hole that's round. By the way, I mean nowadays we have a problem. The issue with bloat of our cows are all issues are actually we're afraid of keres apnimit. That's what we're worried about. This is the issue. Mamash. This is mamash the issue that's mamash negei la'alacha. But besides that, the holes are pretty big. It's a shtickle nikdera also. Even if you'll say it's a keres even if you'll say that it's keres achitzain, right? Even if you'll be makel on that, but you'll still have a problem that it could be it's the size of a cellar. Okay, we'll see. Nikdera kisela treifa shem timtach v'tamelat tefach. Rabbi Chia bar Abba l'didim mifsheli minei de Gvina. I heard it from Gvina. I heard it from his mouth himself. Ameber de Narda on the famous bridge of Narda. Kisela kashera. If it's the size of a cellar, it's still fine. Yes, ami kisela. That's treifa. That's what it has to be a little bit bigger. Kama how much? Kama yes ami kisela. How much bigger? Rabbi Yosef can go into island klas kashaisa bitzifa. If you take 3 date pits, I think. 3 date pits with the tzifa. They would bite around. There was still a little remnant of the fruit on it. So 3 date pits, if they still have a remnant of the fruit on it, bedochka. That would get in. That would get in difficultly. But light tzifa, if it was really cleared, if the pits were cleared, that would be beravcha. I guess it was much easier to give a share with date pits that every rav could have a couple of date pits in his study just in case this treifa showed up, instead of having a sela, which is an expensive coin, having that sitting around not doing anything. That would be shver. So hemses ubeis hakosis. Hemses ubeis hakosis. So what are the hemses ubeis hakosis? What's the hemses ubeis hakosis? Hemses ubeis hakosis are actually the beis hakosis is the second stomach, and the hemses is the third stomach. And I heard a great mnemonic how to remember that the beis hakosis is the second stomach. How do we remember that the beis hakosis is the second stomach? Because it's the only one of the 3 stomachs that has 2 names, right? We have the keres, and we have the Beis HaKoisis, the Hemsis, and then comes the Keva. So the one with two names is the second stomach. Very geschmack. Why is it called Beis HaKoisis? Because it's made out of cups, and we have over here a Beis HaKoisis. This is the Beis HaKoisis. If you look close, if you look at it, you don't even have to look so closely. You see that it has it has like mamish, like it's like honeycombs, cups. It's in a bag. I don't want to. I mean, I could really. But what you see it? You see it?
Yes, a slice of bologna.
This is, and here is. I just want to show the camera. This is the Hemsis. The Hemsis is has these like fins, and this is the third. This is the third stomach. Yeah. This is the back of the third stomach. Yeah, and we had the other stomach was the Beis HaKoisis. Was the Beis HaKoisis, and yet last year we had the Keva. We brought in the Keva. Yeah, yeah, the Keva. Yeah, okay, the Keva. But the Keva. See, I didn't. Yeah, the Keva we threw out after that. You see the Beis HaKoisis, you see how the it's like honeycomb, like koises, a whole bunch of koises. Every single animal has this. It's unbelievable. Exactly the same. The Eibishter made it unbelievable. What?
Every single animal has more than
every ruminant animal has exactly the same. It's unbelievable. Yeah, it's unbelievable. Okay. Good. This is this. Yeah. Okay. There's a pin that was found, a needle that was found in the thickness of the Beis HaKoisis. So the Beis HaKoisis is a thicker skin. So mitzah and what's understood is that the Beis HaKoisis is made up of two skins. It's really made up of the inner skin and the outer skin. Yeah, it's made up of two skins. There's the inner skin and the outer skin. So Memela, if you find a machat Beis HaKoisis and it's halfway in, it's like this. Mitzad echad kshera. If it only penetrated one wall, kshera. Mishnei tzadim treifa. If it penetrated two walls, it's treifa.
Which side is the wall? The inside or the outside?
Both. Either one. Doesn't matter. If it penetrated one, it's still fine. If it penetrated both, it's a problem. Yeah? Now let's say I don't know. So koiridam, if I find a, I'm gonna now to yesterday's block. No, now from it out. Biodua shelfnei shchita. Like this, we find a thing that went through both walls, but we don't know when it happened. We don't know if it happened before shchita, after shchita. So I'll tell you how you can know. If this blood be a dua shelfnei shchita, it happened before shchita, and therefore what? It's a treifa. Loin himself kairidam. If there's no blood, be a dua shlachas shchita. It perforated both, but it would happen after shchita, and it's all kosher. Now. Zok the Gemara, and here comes a Gvaldig all of a sudden Babakama the Galachis. Higlid Pia Maka. If let's say this Maka, we have the blood and the blood has a scab, it's already dried up. So again, now we're leaving Masechtas Chulin totally. Now the question is, it's definitely a treifa. There's blood here. It is definitely happened before it was killed, before it was geschachten. But the question is when did the treifa happen? Why is it negeh? When did the treifa happen? Because negeh to know if the owner could go back to the one who sold it to him and tell him, you sold me a treifa and I want my money's back. It's a mekach tois. So now how do we know? So it depends. So we could judge by the blood by knowing how far back this incident happened that it ate a needle. We know that it happened with at least 3 days ago, and that's why it finally developed a scab. What's Hamoitzu Mechavel Varaya? That the pshat is that the one who bought this cow wants to go get his money back. Why? Because Sokrashi, because he avada paid his money. He already paid him. He paid up. No one's going to let him have a cow before he paid up. He already paid cash, and now he's trying to mon his money back, and therefore it's hamoitzi mechaverei olav haraya, and that's what the Gemara says. Now that's Rashi's shot. However, Tosfos says that Tosfos asks on Rashi a different shot, that over here It's not al tamoitz mechavel v'raya. It's al tishver klal of kanimtza kamhoya, which means that we have a rule to say that if an incident happened over here, we have to assume that it happened. That if it was found here, the happening happened here, and therefore, because of kanimtza kanhoya, that's why he's not going to get. That's why we're going to assume that it happened in the rishus of the tabach, and it's not. It's even if the tabach did not pay, even if the sheikhah did not pay yet, he's going to have to go pay up again. And that's what Amoitzu Chaver Overaya means in this case. That's how Tosfos learns. So again, it's Machlekes Rashi Tosfos. If we're talking about that only in a case where he already paid for the cow and he's trying to get his money back, he wants a refund, or if the question is, or if our shaila is even if he didn't pay, if he has to go pay or not. Right, this is right there. What?
He knows this the scam.
Again, what did we say? We said that it depends if there's blood. If there's blood, then we know that it happened when the animal was alive. If there's no blood, then what? We assume that the whole happened afterwards. Hey. The Gemara said, why don't we do this all the time? Every time we said that we have, every time there's a hole, it's a hole in everything, almost the document, everything. So let's just do this. Check about the blood. If there's blood, good. If not, if there's blood, then it happened earlier. If there's no blood, it didn't happen. Yeah. Why only over here are we worried? Are we only going to be? Why only over here are we going to look for blood? So the Gemara, very simple. It's only over here where there's a needle. If there's no needle, then you can have a hole without any blood. So the Gemara. Yeah. There's nothing there for the blood to get caught. Since there's a needle, if it happened before the shchita, some blood would have gotten caught on the machat, and therefore we could know for sure that it didn't happen before shchita. There was the Torah Rabbanan that came from Rava. For Oma Rav Avira Shemani. He said his name is Rav Avira. There's a lot of Torah about this Rav Avira that he said he walked around saying, "My name is Rav Avira." Why didn't they ask him like in other places, like who do you think you are that you're calling yourself Rav Avira? Yeah. So I heard a pshat. There's a Gemara where Rav Huna was asked the same thing. Why are they calling him? Why are you calling yourself Rav Huna? And Rav Huna said, No, that's my name. My name is Rav Huna. And the pshat is, so it could be that over here also his name was Rav Avira. Not he was calling himself I'm a Greisa Mechobet. He was saying that's my name, Rav Avira Shemani. He's claiming that he had a story that a machat shenimsa beiv beisakos bitzad echad. Only one wall was perforated, right? And v'tarfa, and Rebbe tarfed it. Whoa. This is a big thing. We know that machat shenimsa beiv beisakos has to be bitzad echad. Ksheira shtei tzad mitzvah is treifa. But if it's only one, what's going on over here? Rav Safra told this to Abaya. So Abaya, he's right away, he wants to hear this gewaltige chiddush. What's going on over here? So Shalach, so Abaya sent for this Rebbe Avira, come. So he doesn't go. So Abaye picked himself up and he went to where he was. He went to him, he was on the roof. He asked him, could you maybe come down? He didn't come. No. So Abaye was not going to hear a chiddush, another sif in Shulchan Aruch, he's going to hear it. So he went up to the roof, to this Rebbe Avira. Amalei, Amalei Gufa of the Heikiav. Tell me exactly how it happened. Amalei, Mafta Knesiyas Anale Lemirabi. I was the one that used to take care, bring in and out the Talmidim by Rebbe. Rebbe Rabba. V'hav Rav Huna Tzipei Ra. Rabbi Yosi Mado, Yoishu the fun of Rav Huna from Tzipori Rabbi Yosi Mado, or we're sitting in front of him. He's telling him all the problem, exactly what happened. A machat shenimsa boiv beisakosis mitzad echad. It had only perforated one side. The hafcha Rebbe went and looked at, turned it over to the other side. Umatzov karedam v'tarfa, and he found a speck of blood v'tarfa. And Rebbe said, where did this blood come from? This blood must have been, the reason why there was a blood in the other skin was because it had been perforated. Amalei Tarech Tarya, Rashi says two different gerses and what this lashon was. Lahu Gavra. For this I came around. That means that if the whole halacha that you're saying over in Rebbe is in a case where it obviously had perforated both walls, oh, that's the halacha of our Mishnah. It's a before Mishnah that what Hemzu Beis HaKosis So in other words, what he's saying is that if you see the blood in that second wall, obviously what it had perforated both walls. Yeah, made a hole. Yeah. Okay, so now there's a gewaldige whole sugya of nefula. Now, what is nefula? It's going to be we're going to see a ganze sugya of nefula, and this is one of the things that if an animal fell, so then it becomes a treifa. Now, over there we have a shaila of. We have a shaila that's mafurish. We're going to see that under certain circumstances, if it after 24 hours, it already becomes better, right? Right. So there's a massive machlokes rishonim on the basics of nefula. What is nefula? Because the question is nefula a safek treifa? V'haraya, it's mashma, it's a safek treifa. Why is it mashma, it's a safek treifa? Because after 24 hours, if it starts walking, it's no problem. And the whole halach is a chiyuv b'dika, right? So it would seem that the pshat is that before those 24 hours, it's not a problem, it's not a vadai, it's a suffix. But the problem is, if it's a suffix, what's the problem? We have a machlokes legabe, Machlokes Rav and Shmuel legabe chazakis. If we could tell every single treifa on a chazaka. If we have a chazaka by treifis, so l'chura let Rav, it will be shver. If every nefula is only a suffix, so l'chura be suffix, we should be matir. That is the big problem in this.
More than a suffix, you have a reisa once it fell.
The reisa is the chazaka, but
means it's more than a regular suffix. You have something saying that it could be probably that there's something wrong. It takes off the chazaka.
You have to know chazak.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, because that's okay. So that's one side. The other side of Rishonim is that somehow that this is a mitam vadei. It's not considered a suffix. It's considered a vadei. That is the shaila. Now, what happens after 24 hours? Somehow it goes off. That is a big problem. What exactly is the trephis of nefula. Now there's another machlokes. What is risak evarim? Somehow when it falls down, somehow it's evarim it gets shaken up. Now the question is, what's this risak evarim? So Rashi seems to say that the pshat is that we assume that things fall apart. At least it falls apart for a given time. But the Rambam seems to say, and this is going to be mamash negea on Amud Beis when there's a bedika. What are you being baidik for? Right? The Rambam seems to say that the organs lose their form. They get a different form. They get deformed. Yeah. Okay. That would be the two pshatim. Okay. These two machlokes and rishonim. Let's go weiter. So Rav Huna hiniach behema l'mayla. If let's say you left the behema on a high place, ubo masalamati found it in a low place. Ein chayshishim mishum risak evarim. Whoa! How did it get down? All right. If it came down, it must be that the behemoth somehow came all the way down. So if it came all the way down, maybe I should be chayshish for risak evarim. No, you don't have to be chosh mishum risa gevarim. Why not? Why not? Because we assume that the animal somehow got down without risa gevarim. Yeah. How got you the having the ravina the chazachusha puma be puma. It saw choshla. It saw some gishmaka animal feed in through the window a skylight. Dogar, it jumped. Nafal mi igral, so it jumped through the skylight to the floor to get its gishmaka, delicious steak. Yeah, the animal food. So they came in front of Rav Ashi. They wanted to know what's the halacha in such a case. Amalei. Right? We say we know. The animal, when it jumps down, we don't have to worry about it. Why? For some reason, when the animal jumps, it's not a problem. Why is that when the animal, we had the yesh lachar, is the reason when it jumps down, it's not a problem because it knows how to slide down the wall. In this case, there was no wall because it went through the skylight. Or is the word that when the animal jumps, it knows how to. If it's jumping, it knows how to somehow take care of itself, and that's not called a nefula. That's not called falling. That's the suffix, and that's the suffix in this case. Is the reason because it has something, it has a wall to slide on. This was a skylight, so it had nothing to slide on. Because it knows how to evaluate, and if it jumped, it can handle it. Over here, obviously it jumped. Therefore, it's not a problem of Rizgevarm. The Imrasadav Beirav Chaviva, the Havashadrin Kari Basraisa. There was a sheep that was schlepping its back legs. Amar Rav Yema Hai Shigrun. So the question was, it seemed like it had some kind of a injury. Maybe it fell. Amar Rav Yema Hai Shigroina Nakte. It's just a some kind of a cramp or something. It's not a cramp. Nakte. Yeah, you don't have to worry, right? Maskla Ravina v'dom b'chot hashadri efsik. Let's be chayiv. We don't know that it's walking. We don't know it's not walking. Maybe Chot Shadra was nifsik. But kua ashkachu gravina, and they checked and Taka found it. So because shigrun shchiach, a cramp is a shchiach the gezach. Chot Shadra shchiach, and therefore we don't have to be chayiv for it. This is an unbelievable thing. The animals, the male animals, fight, but they don't fight a little bit. They fight with tremendous rishes. They bang heads one against each other. Mamish like not shaykh. They go from one. They go rushing at each other, and they hit the horns and with a tremendous bang. Yeah, if we had time, we show. It's mamish sight to see. And Lamaisa, one of them gets. They're fighting over whatever they're fighting over. They're fighting over the animal feed or some other animalistic need. And lemaisa and some of them look ganz suspected afterwards. So there should be a problem in the fula. So even though we see that one of them is all tittering, it's all shaken up. Tzimra be'alma hudunakalu has a little bit of a fever, has a little bit of a chill, but it's not Rizge Varm, and it's not a treifa, and it's kosher. But if in the course of these major battles, one of them fell to the ground. Then it's in the full. That's the treifa that we have to worry about. Hani dichri the Gandvi. A Ganovim came in, so they somehow snuck into your enclosed corral, and what they would do is they would take a sheep and they would throw it over the roof. They would throw it over the fence, right? They would throw it over the fence to the other side because they wanna steal it, right? You don't have to worry about Risik Avarim. Why? My time, Kivan. Why not? Why don't you have to be Choshesh? If they're throwing it over the wall, so obviously it's going from a high place to a low place. It's a Nafula. Kishadlu Amasnai Shadlu. When they throw it in a way that it should not become. It shouldn't get injured. Why? Because they also they have a vested interest that this stolen goods should be able to run. That they should be able to take it along. Because if they can't take it, it's not going to run with them. They won't be able to. They're going to have to schlep it. They're going to have to carry it, right? Adrinu. But if let's say they all of a sudden lost their nerve and they decided to return the stolen goods, they threw it back. Adrinu v'adechashina. Then they have to be choshesh because then they don't care about it. They just threw back the stuff. But that's if they threw it because they got scared, they saw the cops coming, right? But if let's say, but if the reason why they threw it back is because they wanted to do tshuva, then we have to assume that they did a tshuva ma'ali, so they threw it in a way that it shouldn't be a problem. It shouldn't have gotten they shouldn't have become a treifa. We're trying to go as quick as possible. This is a complicated Gemara. Exactly what the cases are, we're gonna just do the Rashi Prakim over here. But the bottom line is, if he hit the head of the animal and the stick hit its back side, it's no problem. It's still no problem because it didn't hit the shedra, and all we're worried about is the shedra. Or alznava v'holchalak al klapi roisha. Or if he hit it, he was trying to hit it on its backside, and it hit its head, also no problem. And kineged kol shedra kula. Now, there's two gears, so we had to learn kineged kol shedra kula. But the point is, either Rashi, either this is the first two pshatim already, kineged kol shedra kula, or kineged kol shedra kula is a third mahalach. But the bottom line is that there was no differentiation between part of the shedra and the rest of the shedra. So he's doing the whole shedra. So that's not going to be a risuk evarim. That would be the animal got a hit straight. But the shalom chudra palge de gaba chashina. But if let's say the stick was only halfway, and it only hit half the shedra, and the other half not, that would be a problem chashina. We have to be worried about a problem of risuk evarim. V'yispe kitri, and if the stick that you used has little things sticking out, chashina. V'machya piske chashinan, or if you hit it the other way, not from the head to back, but the other way, you have to be choshesh because again that would be a problem of a risuk evarim hitting the spine. Amar Nachman. The next is a massive sugya, a major machlokes rishonim and the simple pshat in the sugya. We're not going to show pictures of the stick. I think what's called it. We explained it very clear. Amar Nachman, Beis Harechem ein boy mishum risuk evarim. Zokra Nachman that the Beis Harechem, when an animal from the Beis Harechem is ein boy mishum risuk evarim. Now, what are we talking about? Beis Harechem ein mishum risuk evarim. There's two divergent pshatim. One is Rashi's pshat and the Rambam's pshat. Two completely different pshatim. Rashi says, very gishmak, Rashi says, and it's mamish, the sugya we're going to learn like Rashi, because the sugya really is mashma after that, mamish exactly like Rashi. The Rambam Pshat is very, very difficult in the Pshatav of the Gemara afterwards. But Rashi says like this, that the animal, when it is born, right, when it's being born, it goes through a very, very, it has to go through the birthing canal. It's a very, very difficult, gets really, really shoved around. And therefore, there's a Havamina that alone would be Risuk Evarim. That would be Risuk Evarim. That's this lodging, a very, very, traumatic, right? A traumatic event, and therefore that would be a problem of risuk evarim. That's the havamina. What? Yeah. It should be a problem of treifa. It should be a problem of treifa if you check the animal within that first day. Now, the Rambam didn't learn like that. Why did the Rambam learn like that? Because the Rambam had no havamina that if you remember, could be. I'm just laying two. It could be the Rambam's l'shitas. The Rambam said that the problem is never that it's going to be dislodged. The problem is that the organs are deformed, and nothing's going to get deformed. It's just going to be a risik evarim, but nothing gets deformed. So the Rambam didn't know like that. The Rambam says, Beis HaRachamim Mishum Risik Evarim means like this. The Gemara is going to say later on that there are bedikas, that at certain times you have to be boidik if the animal fell, right? You have to make a bedika. So the Rambam, that the Beis HaRachamim is a place that's very soft, and there's no tzad that anything happened by the nefila, and that part does not need a bedika. That's how the Rambam learns in the simple Taich of the Gemara. Now the signon of the Gemara later on is very shvel. The Rambam, the Rishonim talk about it, we're not going to go into it. So the Gemara we'll go back to Rashi. That what we're talking about an animal that was born the first day. Amalei Rav Rav Nachman Tanya Messiah Loch. Gross Chiddush. I'm a first Mishnah. Tenik ben Yoimai. Tenik ben Yoimechad. A tenik of the first day is metame beziva. If a child after the first day he emitted a tuma ziva, it's already tummy. Zok Rava, that's a mafresh raya to your halacha. Why? Because if you're going to tell me that it during the birthing process, it's risik evarim. So ikri kami b'sari v'lei machmas eintzai. So then, obviously, the child is had just gone through a very, very traumatic process and was sick to the point that he's a treifa. And if he's a treifa, then he's excluded from any zivos, because zivos, the halacha is that it's only mibsari, only if it came out in a natural way, v'loi machmas ointzoi, not if it came out of sickness. This is one of the things. So it was a cesarean birth, and if it's a cesarean birth, over there there's definitely no risik evarim, right? So therefore, you can't bring a raya from that Mishnah to Rav Nachman's halacha. So Rava tries something else. Tashma, egel shnei b'yontiv, a calf that was born on yontiv, sheichte noisa b'yontiv. You can shecht it on yontiv. Don't think that this animal is muksa. No, you can shecht it on yontiv. How can you shecht it on yontiv? Maybe risik evarim. Maybe you have to wait 24 hours before it's maybe it should be like a nefula. It should be a problem of a treifa. So tomorrow, hachanami going to yatsa derech doifen. Tashma. Oh, here we're not going to akasha. We're not going to be able to say derech doifen. So the Gemara. Tashma v'shavin shem noiled hu umumay imay shezem menamuchon. What does that mean? That means like this. There's a machloikis about a bechor if it gets a mum on yontif. If it gets a mum on yontif, so is this right? The halach is like this: a bechor, you have to bring the Beis Hamikdash. If you don't have the Beis Hamikdash, you don't have the opportunity to bring the Beis Hamikdash. So you have to wait until the kohanim have to wait until it gets a mum to be able to eat it, right? So this Bukhara was sitting around for a couple of months. No one was able to touch it. On Yontif it got a mum. So the question is, if it is moksa or not, right? So the Mishnah v'shav, and everyone agrees shem noiled hu umumayimay. Meaning, if the Bukhar, the mother was fine, the mother was not a Bukhar. The child, the fetus gave birth on Yontif, and it came with its. With its accompanying mum, it was born with a mum. So this fetus, even though it was a bechar, but it has a mum, so it's all good, right? Typically, we have a problem with muksa. No problem with muksa. Why? Because until it was born, you could have eaten it with the mother. You could have shechted the mother on yontif, and the child would have been a ben pekur, would have been kosher. And today it's born with a mum, so it was always edible and it's always good. That's the Mishnah. V'shavin shem noed hu umumei because it was always prepared, it was always ready to be eaten. That is the Mishnah. So, and what's the question? The question is, what do you mean? Whoa, what do you mean? Typically, out risik evarim. This is a mafresh Mishnah that there's no risik evarim after a child was born. You'll tell me you're not going to bring it. It's not right. And maybe it's talking about that it was born with a cesarean birth. And since it was a cesarean birth, that's why there's no risk of Evarim. Then it wouldn't be an issue of Bukhar. The whole thing is that it had a mom, and therefore it had a mom. It's that it doesn't have Kedushas Bukhar. When something is born with a cesarean birth, there's no Kedushas Bukhar. Rabbi Yochanan says, Reb Shimon le'inyan kachim, even though Reb Shimon is the one that's machmir normally for cesarean birth. If Lagabi Leidas Adam, that if a woman, if it's machlokes tanoim Lagabi, a woman that gave birth with cesarean birth, if she has Tumas Leida. Machlokes. Reb Shimon holds she has Tumas Leida. Okay, so Reb Shimon holds that Yotzei Dofen does have a halacha of Leida in Gabi certain things. Reb Shimon le'yikachim she'ein kaddish. So Mamela, so in the Gael in Yanenu, obviously this child, this Bechor of Shav and Shemnel who was talking about that it was born a natural birth. It's a natural birth, so it's a natural birth, and for Shalocha, natural birth, ain't by Bishum Risa Kavarim. So Rav Nachman, what do you say now? L'chura, what's your chiddush? What are you coming up? It's a Mefursha Mishnah. Sak the Gemara. We're going to see soon in our mission. We're going to see soon that if an animal stands up, if it under certain circumstances, it doesn't. There's no problem. Even if it fell, it's no problem. So that's what we're talking about. I could have said that it is a risa kevarim, and it would be a problem, but it was hifritz agabe karka. Memela, it's not a problem, and memela, it's not a problem. That's why we need Rav Nachman's halacha that what beisarachem ein bo mishum risa kevarim. Zok timar vaytem. The way they used to shecht the animals is they would throw it down to the floor that it should be accessible. It should be on the floor, and with throwing it down, that throwing down is not too much trauma. That would not be a risa kevarim. And you were able to hear it give it a big krach, and they got nervous. This is a little bit too. It was a little too violent. Rav Yitzchak by Shmuel bar Marsa shakal mishufri shufri. He took from the best part of it because he wanted to show this halacha that the basement of Chaim Eimim Shum Risa Kevarim. I was aiming from this Gemara. Why does he keep on saying shufri shufri? Why are we doing from the shufri shufri? Yeah, we have a few times in this Gemara that when somebody wanted to show that this is good, he did me shufri shufri. Why is this? What's the pshat? If you just ate from it, you prove that it's kosher. Even if he ate from the Franks, well, why does it have to be? Why does he have to take me shufri shufri? So I want to suggest maybe a pshat. I don't know if this is it's a shtickle chiddush. We had the Gemara said before that Rav said that they always give me the best cuts. They give me always the best cuts. So it could be that this was like a famous thing. They said when there was a cow was geschachten, they wanted to know. So who got the good cuts? Who was the one? Who was the Rav? Who was the thing? So it was the Chavetz Chaim got. Rabbi Chulin, who was the one that got that big piece? Right? That was the famous. That was they asked about. That was the news. That was what they asked. They wanted to know who was the one that got the shufri. So Mamela, so he wanted to show that this is kosher. He wanted the word to get out. So he took from shufri. So now everyone's gonna know. Everyone's gonna want to know who got the shufri in this one. It was him. Vice is good. So that was a way of getting the word out by taking from the shufri, because the one that takes the shufri, that's the greatest chashuv one that they gave him a good cut. You like that shot? Good. Right. Somehow the animal senses that its time is up and it's about to be knocked to the floor, and it somehow it anchors its tziparnav by these animals. Obviously doesn't mean nails, it means the hooves, and the hooves are somehow it gives it lodges them into the ground, and somehow that gives it that softens the fall, and it's not there's no risa kevarim. Now we'll talk about what do we do afterwards. If it stood up, so then obviously there wasn't too much of a risa kevarim. But it needs bedika. Now, what is this bedika? Massive machlokes rishonim. Yeah, like the Rambam, bedika is what you have to check if the evarim are are deformed. That's what the bedika is. But like Rashi, there is no deforming. So what are you checking for? There's nothing deformed. It's some kind of a esoteric, something that things that they're not held together well, right? So what do you check? Zok Rashi, and this is a word there's a lot of Torah about. This is very negeya. But Rashi says that it's a zaytige bedika, that we have to be choshesh. There's one thing a risike varim. Besides that, maybe there was a nekev. Maybe something else happened. Some other kind of trauma. Some other kind of treifa. So the bedika you have to do for the other things. That's how Rashi learns. That's Machlekes Rashi and Tosfos. What the bedika is? It's supposed to negate what you're going to do. So more weiter. Holcha, but let's say it walked. Ain't a tzricha bedika. If it walked, then you don't even have to do a bedika. Rav Chia bar Rashi Omar achazu tzricha bedika. Say if it stood, say if it walked, you still have to do bedika. Omar Rav Yirmiyah bar Omar Rav Pashta Yada. Lamoid. When we say amida, it doesn't mean that it mamish stood up. If it's stuck, if it somehow stuck out its foot to stand up, that's already good. If it picked up its foot to walk, that's already enough of an indication that it's called a hilach. Even if it just tried to get up, that's even if it's loy amda. Zok die more weiter, Omar Amema. Mishmei Rav Dim Adom. Nefula Shamru Tzricha Bedika. Again, this Bedika, what kind of Bedika do you need? Tzricha Bedika Keneged B'nei Ma'ayin. You need the Bedika only Keneged the stomach, the dakim, and that's where we're choshesh for Nekuva. Amalei Ma'azutra, Hachi Am Mishmei Rav Papa, Tzricha Bedika Keneged B'Beisach Ala Kula. You need the whole cavity, or the whole inner cavity, where all the inner organs are. Do we have to check the simonim as well? Simonim the simonim are hard eitzel nefila. Yeah. It's a pashta zach. I mean, obviously, where the veshet is not a hard thing. The veshet is actually a soft thing. But the simanim are in the neck, which is meant to go up and down and get all different kinds of to have a lot of movement, and therefore it's not so difficult that it would have fell. And the Eibishter made a tremendous thing. The Eibishter made that, and every living person is like this. The Eibishter made that in the behind the veshet is the spine, and the front is the kana, when they're both hard, and that protects the veshet. So tomorrow right to Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Oif. What's with the oif? A bird that got hit on the water, had a belly flop on the water. So what over there? What are we talking about? If it swam just its height, that's enough for like a hocha. That's only if it swam against the current. But if it swam from up down, it's not really swimming. It's not doing its own thing. It's just getting swept away with the water. So you don't see any life, and it's not a raya b'chlal that it's not. There's no risik varim. One more second. Yep. So right. Vi maya kaimi less lamba. And if the water is stationary, less lamba. Now this is a little bit of a shvar gemara, because the gemara said we're talking about mi maya lamata. So how could it be that it's stationary? It's a little bit shvar how to learn how to understand what this gemara means. There are those that say that we're talking about an agam that does have the water slowly, whatever. It's a little bit shvar, a little doch. What's in this gemara? We're not gonna focus on it. So the gemara right. Vishada sivi vikadme. If you threw a piece of a little branch and the bird kadme, the bird got beat it. It went past it. So how did it go past it? The branch is floating along, and the bird went past it. So obviously the bird is going on its own. It's going on its own power, and it's not just being swept by the water. It obviously did it. Glima. What happens if it hit a cloth that's stretched? Glima metiach chayshinan. So that's for a bird. That's a lot of trauma. Doloi metiach. If it's just flapping and it's not stretched, loy chayshinan. If let's say the glima is folded over, because then already if it's folded over, it obviously it can't be that taut and it won't be a problem. Islam umekarvi kitri. Isla is traps. Now, this is going to be, we're going to see, and we spoke about this already, in Elu Trefus, this is going to be always the problem. You're trying to trap wild animals, and you want to be able to shecht it. You don't want it to be a trefa. So let's say you trapped it with a trap, umekarvi kitri, and it has very close knots, chayshinam, because it's going to hit the knots, and it's going to be risk of loy mekarvi kitri. If they're not close next to each other, loy chayshinam, it's no problem of trefa. Kisna, the avid bituni. Kisna is flax. Now, flax very quickly is made out of stalks. They're little stalks that the linen grows in the middle, and around it is like a little is like a crusty piece of hard grass, right? So kisna dav betuni that are in bundles chayshinan. Why? Because we have the problem of the bundle is the knots. That's it's going to hit it. It's going to make it a thing. Three more lines. Chashina, the high gisa, but if let's say it hit on the sides, on the top or on the bottom, it's no problem because over there it's soft. Asuraisa. What? Asuraisa, but Asuraisa, if it was bundles of sticks, chayshinan. Kisna, kisna is the flax that was daik v'nafitz, meaning that it was the flax. What they do is they have these stalks, right, and they have the crust around it. They leave it in water and it decays, and the crusting now comes off with once you hit it. It decays in water, and then the crusting becomes able to come off. So then you hit it, and then you comb it out. So before you comb it out, and you just hit it so that it's crusted up, but it's still there, right? So now kisna the daik v'nafitz. If you hit it and you combed it out, so there's no crusting anymore, like chashina, because it's all soft, it's all linen. Daik v'loy nafitz. But if you hit it but you didn't comb it out, chashina, because there's still pieces there. David Bizri. Given the ikabei kitri chayshinan. If you made bundles of it, since there are the bundlings, those knots, it's chayshinan. The kata chayshinan. The kata the kata lechayshinan. That means there's called the noyus apishtan, which is after you comb it. There's the little pieces that come out that still has hardness, is a problem. Dik-tak-taka, meaning the parts that come off, the parts that came off, like Hashinon. Navra is the little branches that are around the tree that they take and they dry it up and they're going to slice it up for to use as chavalim. So navra chayshinan, because before it's cut up, it's very hard. It's chayshinan. It's a problem. It's too much trauma for the bird. The timchasa, once it's already sliced up, like chayshinan. Kitma is ash. Nehila chayshinan. If it was already sifted, so then it becomes very compact and it's very hard. We'll leave it right here, and Bez Hashem tomorrow we'll pick up and we'll have to do another blot and a half. Kol tov.